This is the Ranger S. It is one of the fastest and most powerful bikes that I've gotten a chance to review thus far. Thank you, HEYBIKE, for sending this out to me for review. We're going to be going over some unboxing, some ride footage, and also the specs from front to back, and why I think this is one heck of a deal for everything that you get on this bike. It is not only a 1,000-watt nominal, but it's 1,800-watt peak output with over 32 miles an hour top speed. Let's get started on the review.
Away like the wind, got my HEYBIKE Ranger where the road begins. No more limits here, no more holding back. Feel the power surge on a lightning track. Hey, 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 ride the Ranger fast, zooming through the city like nothing else can last. Hey, 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 1,000 watts of thrill, over 30 miles per hour through the endless thrill. Hey, hey, torque sensor knows every move I make. Off-road commuting, I don't need to brake. 400 pounds, we carry it all high. Mag wheel spinning, now we're touching the sky. Hey, 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 ride the Ranger fast, zooming through the city like nothing else can last. Hey, 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 1,000 watts of thrill, over 30 miles per hour through the endless thrill. Hey, hey, torque sensor knows every move I make. Off-road commuting, I don't need to brake. 400 pounds, we carry it all high. Mag wheel spinning, now we're touching the sky.
Unboxing and assembling the Ranger S was pretty easy. It does come with a very comprehensive video online on how to assemble the bike. For me, I always start off by adding flat out tire sealant to both the front and the back tires of an e-bike to make sure I don't get any flat tires while I'm out on the road. After I added the flat out into the tires, I then assembled the front rim onto the front fork and made sure that I had it nice and loose so that I could just get it off the rack, so then I could tighten it after and make my final adjustments. Once that was done, then I started to assemble the front neck and handlebar assembly, unwrapped the bike of all of the protective foam that came with the packaging, then tightened up the rim nice and tight now that I had the bike off the rack. Turned on, installed the battery, and then I tested all of the electricals to make sure everything was running properly. At this point, I decided I would put on the fender and the front headlight, made sure it was working properly. Then I added the pedals to the bike and decided I wanted to make sure that I had no brake rub, so I made some minor brake adjustments, and after that I was pretty much ready to ride.
The first thing I want to do is show the foldability of this bike, because that is one of the more popular things everybody wants to know about. So there's two places that this bike can actually be folded at. One is the neck, which can easily be brought down with just a simple latch up and latch down. Now, I also noticed that HEYBIKE does do a really good job in having some really good folding mechanisms on this that I haven't seen in a lot of other bikes. The other one is actually a latch here. I'll show this a little later what this latch looks like, but there's just a basic simple latch there, and once that's opened, you can easily now just fold the bike in half here and then put it down on its stand, where the bike would then come together at this point. Now, I would recommend removing the battery if you're going to be putting this into a car, because this bike is over 70 pounds total with everything on it. But for the most part, at least you can stick it in there. The other thing I notice about this folding is if you do fold this and you want to put it, maybe you want to carry a towel or something that you can put in between this area here, because when the 2 points are folded all the way, it is going to be metal on metal from the front fork to actually the back rack area here. But other than that, this is a very good foldable bike here. The other thing I normally do when I have a bike like this is I will carry straps that I can strap the front part to the back so that it stays together when I stick it in my car or the back of my truck. To undo the bike, you simply just can open it up here this way. Same thing, you're going to be lifting it up and undoing the bike together here, watching your pedal, and then put that here. Now, one of the safety parts of this is that you will have to actually have the latch open while it goes into its final phasing of locking in and then closing it up. This is one of the more beefier latches that I've seen so far. Last part here is to put this handlebars up, put this on, and then it also does have folding pedals. So if you need to fold the pedals, you can see these pedals here easily just push in and fold in, which will actually give you probably about an extra 2.5 inches on each side. So maybe a total of 5 inches less width. with your pedals folded in. So if you have like a skinny garage or put it somewhere where you're going to be walking by it and you don't want your pedals sticking out, that's less width to the bike. And these pedals easily just snap back out and you're ready to ride. All right, so this is the Ranger S1000, and the reason why it has 1,000 on it is because they do have a 750 watt version of it, but this particular bike, thank you HEYBIKE, they sent me out the 1,000 watts. If you are looking for a bike with a lot of power, or you're going to be hauling a lot of cargo, this is the bike you're going to want to look at because of the extra boost that you're going to get from a 1,000 watt nominal motor. Now it also goes up to 1,800 watts peak, which means that at about 32 miles an hour, you're going to be having a lot of fun going fast. But I just wanted to talk about who I think this bike would really be good for. It is very versatile. It actually covers ranges of people in height from 4'11" all the way up to 6'3". So that's not really an issue as far as a height. Now you do have a lot of ability to go ahead and carry extra cargo. This bike does also come with a rear basket. Now HEYBIKE sent this for me for review, but they didn't send the accessories, which is completely fine. I don't usually use baskets, but if you are to order your bike today, you would get a basket on the back here to attach, and also a front basket to be added up here. So the other things that you actually will get with this bike is a 14.4 amp hour battery. It is a 48 volt, and they claim has a range of about 55 miles on a full charge. Now, if you ride like me and you're actually going to go ahead and use it more like just throttling all over the place because it goes so fast and you have a lot of fun with it, you're not going to get that kind of range, but it has the potential of doing that if you do help it out. The other thing I want to point out is that it does have a torque sensor here. So let's go ahead and while I talk about this, go each step from the front to the back of every little component that we have here and why this is such a phenomenal bike. Now, before I actually got this bike from HEYBIKE, when they reached out to me, I'm very well aware of the brand. I've never reviewed one or ridden a HEYBIKE prior to that, but I was always been excited about the potential of getting one of these because HEYBIKE does have a reputation of making solid bikes with really good power and also really good components. And I am not disappointed. And in fact, I am more than pleasantly pleased at how fast this bike is. In fact, it is so fast. It is one of the few bikes that was actually able to beat our camera bike speeds. We use a bike that actually goes over 30 miles an hour. So when we do our filming, because most bikes don't go over 28, but this was a bike that actually could blow past that camera bike that we typically use. So this is a bike you're not going to be disappointed in, but let's go over the specs now. Okay, I want to start with the back of the bike here first, and one of the reasons is because it does have some extra added really cool features that a lot of bikes are now starting to come out with, but are not yet there as a mainstream item. One of the things is it does have this really cool taillight. It is integrated, but the taillight does have blinkers. Okay, so right now it's 12:45 in the mid-afternoon on a sunny California day, and as you can see, even midday, you can still see the blinker. It is bright enough to attract attention. The other thing is it does have an integrated taillight. It blinks and flashes. Again, another great safety feature. And I just turned on the little switch for lights, and what you'll also see is that it also has the HEYBIKE light up. And although you see some flickering right now, that is just the frame rate of the camera. It is actually a steady red that's really nice and bright. The blinking that you saw earlier when I was holding the brake, that is something a little different here. Now this is actually a real blink that you're seeing. So pretty much what anybody's ever said, oh, I wish it had this, I wish it had that on an e-bike, HEYBIKE has started to put all of those features on. So let's also move a little more forward to the bike here. Of course, they did use hydraulic brakes on the back, and RSX it's a really good brand. It's a well-known and popular brand in the market, so it's not a cheap component. As far as your brakes, it's going to work really well. The other thing is, if you notice here, we have a 180 millimeter rotor. So some great stopping power. In fact, phenomenal stopping power with this bike. The other thing that you also will have here that will grip the road and also some dirt trails a little is knobby tires. And these are 4-inch by 20-inch fat tires, and also with mag wheels here. These mag wheels also are quite light. And that's something I was really surprised about when I was assembling the bike and how light the mag wheels are. So that's actually a really nice feature. Now, one thing I did notice about this bike, it is really heavy. About a little over 70 pounds, and you actually do feel it when you're trying to lift this bike and move it around. So just keep that in mind. It does have some weight to it. We also have a plastic fender back here. So this is actually I actually personally like plastic fenders a lot because they are silent. They don't make any noise. There's no rattling. There's no sound to it. Also, you have a nice solid rack mounted to the frame here, which gives a lot of support for it. Of course, like I did mention earlier, you do also get an opportunity to put a basket on the back if you want to. That does get sent free at the time of making this video. That was one of the accessories that are added. The next thing we're going to move a little forward to is I want to point out this seat is a wide saddle and it is nice and cushy. Normally, I would mention in most of my review videos on other bikes that I would immediately jump into changing the seat into something that's a little more wider and softer for most bikes that come stock, but HEYBIKE did a great job in making sure that when you jump on this bike, first time you're riding it, you're not going to be complaining about your bottom being sore, because this is a nice, soft, cushy, wide, comfortable seat. Coming down a little more, we have just a standard seat post here with an adjustment switch out here. Very basic, but very usable and durable. Same thing, something that almost every e-bike has. Oh, by the way, I'd like to point out, check out the paint job on this HEYBIKE. It comes in 4 different colors that's on the market right now that they are selling on their website. All of these colors are absolutely beautiful. In fact, there's a Merlot red, a stone blue, and a shade gray, and then a metallic sand color. So these 4 different colors that are out there, you got a choice, and all of their bikes, they do such a great job on this paint job. This is the battery that gets integrated into the frame itself here. We do have our foldable pedals as we move a little lower. As I mentioned earlier, it's just very easy, simple to fold here. And I want to point out our latch. This is one of the beefiest latches I've seen in a long time. So this little lever here, in fact, let me get this out of the way, push this up, open it up, and then the latch moves. And internally, there's this locking mechanism that moves within the frame. An extra added beefiness I have not seen in any other e-bike yet. And they may be out there, it's just, you know, but I've been exposed to a lot of different foldable frames. This has got to be one of the best folding mechanisms I've seen as far as safety in an e-bike. Here we have our specs: 1,000 watt power motored, 14.4 amp hour battery, 28 miles an hour top speed. Actually, this does go up to about 32, so it does exceed that. So this is above a class 3 e-bike technically in most places in the United States. They do come with this battery, although you get the 55 mile an hour range and it is only a 14.4 hour battery. I think they probably could have fit in a 20 amp hour. I mean, you know, that would have been a little better, then you get a more solid type range. But the other thing is they also included a 4 amp charger, and that is a really fast charger. Most chargers out there, most companies send out a 2 amp charger. So this is a charger that will charge this battery in about maybe 3.5 to 4 hours is what you'll be able to get out of a full charge. And most times, since you don't run the battery all the way down anyway, you're going to be able to see this battery get charged up a lot faster. So if you carry a charger with you, you can get a charge out if you take a stop somewhere in an hour or so and get a 3rd charge back up into your bike. That is a really big benefit. Moving to the front here, another 180 millimeter rotor, and of course the RSX hydraulic brake. These are Chow Yang tires, 20 by 4 inch knobbies on here. They do, as you can see, it's a little dirty because as you see in the ride footage, I was riding on the horse trails just to see what it felt like on it. And with this front suspension, we had a ride that was just absolutely super smooth and super fun, even at higher speeds. So you do have here your preload adjustments and also your lockouts. If you want it a little stiffer, you can have that there. A nice bright headlight. It's not going to light up your visibility to be safe at higher speeds, but it does actually get you the ability to be seen by other cars. So it's a great safety feature, nice and large. All right, so switching over and looking on the other side of the bike here, we also have our drivetrain with a 7-speed. This is a tourney derailleur. So tourney is one of the most popular derailleurs that is used on the market. So it works very efficiently, does a great job. We also have our front chainring here. I don't know the size of this or the size of each of these gears that we have in the back here, but I do want to say that, we have our standard Shimano SIS type shifter here. Up and down. This works fantastic. We didn't have any issues with it. The only thing I do want to point out though is that when you do have a bike that goes over 28 miles an hour and up to 32, that this bike does not give you the ability to continue to help out the motor once you get past about 25 or 26 miles an hour. You're going to actually have to let the motor do its thing through the throttle only. It does work well if you're going to do some slower riding and you want to help it out a lot, you can. Of course, it does have a really nice, very well-tuned torque sensor built into the system here too. So it does sense how much pressure you're putting in when it does put out the output power. But once you hit a certain speed, you're going to be going too fast for this drivetrain to keep on pushing it, where you're going to have to use your throttle to go anything above and exceeding the about high 20 miles an hour ranges. Okay, so we're looking at the dash now of this bike, and first I want to mention that this water bottle holder is not a part of the accessories or that comes with this bike. This actual water bottle holder is sold on our website at ebikeproducts.com/shop. You can get this bottle there, and it's because I put this on. As you can notice, one thing that this bike does not have is bottle cage bosses to hold a water bottle anywhere. So this is typical of what a lot of these bike styles actually do have. You can get, like I said, one of these accessories on our website, and it worked really well for us to be able to have a water bottle on the bike. Next thing I want to talk about is the display here. We have a really nice display. I have it angled a little low because of the reflection of the sky that's coming in, but it's a very clear and nice display. And one thing, you have your battery meter here, you have your speedometer, how fast you're going, and then your PS levels going up and down. The good thing about this too is you can also set it so if you're kind of like me where you don't need 5 different levels of PAS and you're just going to go 1, 2, and 3, you can also adjust this to have only a 3-level setting, or even a 0, 1, 2, 3, or a 0, 1 through 5. I mean, it has different amounts of settings that are built into the system that you can choose those. You have your trip, odometer, max, and average. By hitting this button here, we'll move through that. Oh, that's actually for the light. I'm sorry, this button here actually displays and dims your brightness of your light, because at night you don't want this shining in your face distracting you. By hitting this, it dims the screen, and then hitting it again makes it bright again. Next though is this button that's above on the side here. This side button now moves over to odometer. Hitting it again, you're gonna see we're going to max, and then we're gonna have your average speed. And then the last one is your voltage, which I really like because for those of you who know about battery levels, this will fluctuate depending on how much hills you're at, or if you're going down hills, it goes up and down. And most e-bikes do that, but if you know how to read voltage, then that's a really good way to do it. Displays that have voltage are always a big benefit, and HEYBIKE actually made sure they added that on. And again, hitting it back, you go back to your trip mile, your mileage meter. This is one of the most buttons I've seen on a display, and it's because it has so many different features. You have your horn on the bottom, and then you have your turn signals left and right, and this also has a front turn signal. By the way, I wanted to show that because I forgot that earlier. As you notice, it also has front. Of course, like I said, it's so close to the front, I don't know if anyone's going to notice that as far as a signal more than just to get attention, but it is a cool feature to have. You have your right turn signal, and then you have your headlight on and off. You have your PS level switches up and down here. This bottom button here is to turn on and off the bike. See, the bike had just gone off. Hold it down again, and the bike turns back on. So this is just the left side alone, and you do have your RSX hydraulic brake lever here. This is a 3-finger. It works really well. You can stop so quickly with this bike, especially if you're going to be going at the speeds that it does go to. We're going to move over to the right side of the handlebars here now. Shimano, the SIS 7-speed shifter. You have your throttle here, and at PS level 1, you do get full throttle, just so you know. Goes all the way up to the full 30 miles plus miles an hour just by using this. This auto here, I've heard it is for headlights, so that it'll automatically turn the headlights on and off. These grips are locking grips, which is a really nice feature, so they don't spin on you. And you can put bar end mirrors if you want by just popping this out, sticking a mirror here. All right, so next thing I want to mention here is that we do have some really nice cable management. You do get some extra zip ties that you can zip some of these down if you want to in certain areas, especially because the headlight had to be attached. So you can zip this together if you want to. But for the most part, cable management is pretty decent. And if you look down here, we also have the cables going into the frame so that they do stay hidden, more protected. This is IP rated so that you can actually ride it, you know, in light rain. I'm not going to tell anybody you should ever ride it in heavy rain because it does have electricals in it, but it does have IP64 rating for the motor, the battery, and for the display. So with having all of those protected, you can actually ride it where I would say safely not have to worry about the bike having any issues. The only thing is, of course, with safety, make sure you keep your speed down when you're riding that fast. Okay, so one other thing I forgot to mention regarding the display here is that it also does have the ability that you can connect an app to this display and control all the settings within it. Now you could hold down the plus and minus here, and there's a whole bunch of P level settings that you can go through, which some of them can be confusing. With the app, it'll be a lot more clear on what settings you want to have inputted and how you want to adjust it. So I would highly recommend doing that, which is a very cool feature that HEYBIKE added to this. All right, so I think that covers pretty much everything I wanted to say about this HEYBIKE Ranger S1000. I just want to reiterate, it is a $13.99 bike, which is a phenomenal deal for 1,000 watts with over 1,800 watt peak. And with along all the features that you saw on here, this is one of the bikes that is definitely more feature heavy, and for $13.99, that's a really good price. There might be discount codes available that you can get, so make sure that you check the description below. Use the link to ebikeproducts.com/Ranger. Again, that's ebikeproducts.com/Ranger. It'll take you directly to the HEYBIKE website to make your purchase. Use the discount code if there's one below, and you'll be having a blast with this. This is a bike, again, for those of you who want extra higher top speeds and also more torque. So if you're maybe on the heavier side or you have some hills that you really need to climb, this is a bike that will be able to conquer a lot of that. It does exceed the class 3 ratings, but you could tune it down to stay within that if you need to. But because it's a foldable bike, it's great for off-road. I wouldn't take it on some super extreme off-road trails, but you can take it definitely on like fire trails or even some horse trails. And it's just gonna be an absolute blast for you to actually enjoy this ride. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.